By unintended consequences, and whether by that I meant my preference of who should have been governor or the preference of the MCAs as to who should have been governor. The answer to that question is, when the people of MERU went to vote, they did not vote the governor to be fighting other leaders. They did not vote their governor to be usurping the statutory functions of the County Public Service Board. So that is what I meant by unintended consequences. In fact, Chapter 6 is loath to such a governor or any other leader who engages in such behavior. So it must be then an unintended consequence. Then I was asked, would a discharge of the governor be analogous to appeasement policy that European leaders and their American counterparts had against the warmonger in Germany? And I think I answered that question and said, this House has all the rights. There's an unqualified right to make whatever decision it wants after hearing the evidence on both sides. No one can be hard to fault the Senate because they decided the matter one way or the other. At any rate, the Senate must decide it one way or the other anyway. I was asked, how do we compare the people who voted for the governor vis-a-vis those who voted for our accusers, the MCAs, and the people who have all these complaints? Our answer is as follows. Number one, the governor was not the only leader elected in MERU. The people of MERU equally elected the MCAs, who she is at war with without good cause. The people of MERU elected their senator, with whom she is at war with. The people of MERU cast votes they were not sufficient to return the cabinet secretary, who she is at war with. The people of MERU voted the MP for Tigania East, and indeed all the 9 MPs. Therefore, it cannot be taken that the Honorable Kawira Mwangaza is the only person who was voted in MERU, or that somehow there is something special about the votes she garnered. The entitles are therefore to have these false accusation and vilification campaigns, which we hope will persuade you when we get there. What I meant by the issue of where do we place the people, we have already placed before you, and we'll get there, the public participation results. And they tell you, while as the people of MERU may have a certain opinion as at 9th August when they cast their vote, supervening events, specifically the events mentioned in the impeachment motion, have tilted that will of the public or the voters of MERU, and we'll get there when the evidence starts flowing. Questions were asked whether we'll be impeaching the governor so shortly after an election. And the question, the answer, Chair, is we will be creating a very dangerous precedent to say it is too soon, because what you will be establishing is a precedent that tells any other governor that you can engage in whatever misconduct you fancy. You can go breaching the law in all 4 directions of the campus, because it is too early anyway, nothing will happen to you, and we will have declared that Chapter 6 of our Constitution stands suspended. The first few months, first few weeks, or whatever days after the election. There was a question about the first past the post. It is true that our electoral system is fast past the post. But that is the more reason why anyone accused of these heinous crimes should be very careful before roping in the people and saying the will of the people. Because although my colleague told you she beat the next candidate by more than 100,000 votes, it's in the public domain. The votes were as follows. Kawira got 209,148. The Honorable Linturi got 183,859. The Honorable Kiraitu Murungi got 110,814. The will of the people, Mr. Chair, must be taken as including these people who also voted for Linturi and Kiraitu, who when combined anyway are more than the people who voted for the governor. And merely because the system is fast past the post does not mean the will of all those other people who are actually more counts for nothing, and therefore the MCAs they elected should be insulted every day, should be vilified every day, and all other things that we've placed before you. There was a question about, I think my colleague said about public participation. When you get there, Chair, we have our volume 4, and it will show you 2,734 persons signed 300 written memoranda in support of the impeachment motion. It will show you only 30 persons, 30, sent memorandum in favor of the governor, and because we love full and frank disclosure, we have attached even those memoranda that were sent in favor of the governor, the 30 of them. More than 1,080 persons made oral representations, and out of those 1,080, it is only 260. All this can be confirmed by your Secretariat Chair from our volume, who expressed oral views against the impeachment motion. And that is what we meant, whether it is really true for the governor now to wear the cloak of the people. It is the easiest thing to do. Perhaps I would do it if I were in her shoes. But the fact that I would do it also if I were in her shoes doesn't necessarily mean it is valid. I think the role of the Senate is to interrogate it and ask itself whether really that is a valid response. And in any event, Chair, even if we were to assume for argument's sake that the Honorable Governor was elected with a 100% majority, would that be a valid answer to the accusations against her? I'm just checking, Chair, whether there is a question I may not have responded to. But I believe they have responded. There are questions, Chair, that the mover, I think this is the last one I have not commented on, that the mover of the motion has said an axe to grind with the governor, dating back to even the electoral period. We do not know, and we'll leave it to you to decide whether that is true. But we have to remind you, the matter before you is a decision endorsed by the County Assembly of Meru, and that there are safeguards in law to ensure that impeachment is not intended to serve personal cause. One of those safeguards, Chair, is the mover has to get at least 2/3 of the members of the Assembly to append their signature. before he can even present the motion to the clerk. The second safeguard is that in addition to signing on that motion, the MCAs have to verify their signatures with the clerk so that they are not hard to say, I was drunk, or someone brought me a document to sign and I didn't know. In addition to signing the motion, they have to sign a verification signature. The matter has to be prosecuted before the assembly with the governor given a chance, that safeguard. And at the assembly, the mover of the motion must secure a minimum of 2/3 of the MCAs before the matter can be escalated to the Senate, and if he fails to do that, it heads. Before this Senate, Mr. Chair, the Assembly, the mover of the motion, must still get a majority of the delegations to succeed. So it doesn't matter anyway, given all these safeguards, and there are many others. For me, it is a diversionary tactic. Again, perhaps if I were in the governor's shoes, I would say exactly that. The fact that I would say it does not necessarily mean it is correct or that it should be believed. I hope I've addressed all the questions, Chair.
Yes, indeed, but just in case you've left something out, we will still allow you to refer to it as we go along. We want you to exhaust your opportunity completely. Governor?